everybody. My name is Ibrahim Chilufia and welcome to What the Tech podcast. Today, I'm with your host, Kamukelo Kumalo, and we are joined by our very first guest on What the Tech podcast. Joining us today, founder of Melsoft and Melsoft Academy, which won SA's EdTech Startup of the Year in 2024, and also a host of his own podcast, the Truth Talk podcast, Larreth Jimu. Alrighty, I thought that was a good intro. I need to really practice on that. But welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for accepting our invitation onto the podcast. We really, really do appreciate that you
It's
are
my pleasure.
here. You know?
Thank you.
This is probably like one of the email plans that came out of the chat, you know, and I feel like this episode is actually going to be like very fruitful, you know.
Likewise.
So before we get into anything, I think it's best that you tell us a bit more about yourself, who Larreth Jimu is, and just take us through your childhood, and then we'll dive from there.
Oh, my childhood. Wow.
It's a bit
Okay.
of a therapy session.
Yeah, now it's gonna turn into therapy.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Zimbabwe, was born in a small town just outside of Harare. Both my parents were there, and I grew up, you know, both my parents were entrepreneurs. I never saw them go to get a job or anything like that. So it's always inspired me to, you know, be an entrepreneur. Then I had 6 peaceful years of life until my brother was born when I was 6 years old. Then after that, it was the two of us. But unfortunately, my parents divorced when I was 6 years old. So my mom raised me. My mom did everything. She took care of me. She sent me to school, sent us both to school. And I was always a great student. I was always that one person that at the prize giving day, their name gets called out 3 or 4 times, you know.
Shout out.
So I've always loved education, and I did my university in Zim. And when I finished, I was like, you know what? Tech is really, really something that I'm passionate about, because I was always playing video games, helping people with their CVs and stuff. So I decided to do a complete career switch. I taught myself how to code. Then I moved to South Africa because the economy in Zim is like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say.
yeah. I think we all know what's going on.
We all know what's going on. So I came here, then I did a boot camp. I went to a boot camp here in Sandton. Then I got into the tech industry, and yeah, I've been in the game for 5 years, and I don't think I'm gonna leave the tech space anytime soon.
So what did you study in uni?
I studied supply chain management.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, now, well, what led you to pick that the degree in university?
Oh, no, I didn't really pick it. It was more like enforced on me by my dad,
Okay.
because I was confused myself. I didn't know what to do, and I was just seeing everyone is going to uni, and I was like, oh, so I guess this is the natural step.
Yeah.
After this, you go to uni. And my dad was like, oh, there's this cool stuff going on in supply chain and logistics. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. I just wanted to get away from my mom at that time.
Okay.
So I was cool with anything.
Yeah, I feel like that's something a lot of us can relate to. Like, we're not too decisive about the decisions we take when coming to university. We just take whatever because, you know, this is expected of us. So I might as well just do it. So it's good to see that people who, you know, have made something of themselves started off in a sense where they weren't too confident about what they're going to do with themselves. So yeah, we can all make it in time.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, with regards to that, what do you think, apart from like people being forced, like, do you feel like a lot of times it's about pressure, or it's probably about following trends in a way? You know, like when you just say that you saw your friends going to university, but did you at that point, apart from you feeling like getting away from your mom, did you feel like you really wanted to go to uni? Like, was that like a thought? Because you did mention that your parents were both entrepreneurs, and probably you had that entrepreneurship spirit, but you just didn't want to tap into it at that time.
Honestly, at that time, I was great in school, and that's all I knew. So I knew, yes, I was going to be an entrepreneur, because even in high school, I was running the school magazine, and I was making some money from that. You know, I had a small school magazine business. So I knew I needed to go to uni. I was just not sure about this degree because I had said to my mom, look, I want to go to UCT. I came with like the stuff and I said, look, I want to go to UCT. There's this program and all that. That's where I wanted to go. But at the time, my mom, she was like, nah, this is just too expensive for us. So I ended up going to the local university, which is much more affordable. And yeah, I had fun though.
It wasn't bad.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of partying, a lot of drinking, a lot of just, the last 2 weeks were the only weeks where I would be like, oh my goodness, I'm actually at school. Then I'll start studying, start
Yeah.
cramming, then I'll just pass and then move on to the next semester.
And speaking about that, I remember I attended one of your events last year, and you actually told us about your story from that sense, like how you were like in uni and what was going on like with you and your brother, and then
Yeah.
just I think you had like a wake up call, and please just take us through that because I feel like that was actually interesting because that was like, oh, that's actually quite amazing because it's like it seemed like you were going down, like you got into like the pressure of uni, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like you were going down the wrong path, and
absolutely.
then what just switched up? Like what made you come to the realization that okay, hang on, like I'm actually responsible for my future and I don't want this to continue.
Yo, that's a very good question. And I'll be honest, right? So you're right. I got hooked when I got there because my mom was such
Controlling.
exactly.
Yo,
My mom is like a strong woman. So she would say, 6 p.m., I want you in the house. I don't care what day it is, you need to be in the house, right? So when I got to uni, that was my first
freedom,
time.
like freedom, like you taste the freedom. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh damn, this is how it tastes.
Yeah, no, I could go to the club. I could go to, chill with my friends and sleep over at my friends. So that's what I was just doing. And I managed to surround myself around people that were just interested in the same stuff. So 3 years snoozed by for me. The whole 4 years really snoozed by. And it was the last semester of my final year. I had a girlfriend that I had been with for 2 years, and at the time we broke up. So in my final semester, I had a huge heartbreak, and I was thinking, what am I gonna do after this degree? So I used that heartbreak as fuel to be like, okay, it's fine. Let me just put everything that I have in this IT thing. And then because I was looking at HTML, and for me at the time, I was like, what is this?
Yeah, and I think it was still coming up here, like
Yeah.
especially from like an African context, it was still developing into what it is now, like the hype around it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I used that as fuel, and the last semester I saw everyone is looking for a job, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, is this the future?" Because in my degree, you're supposed to do 1 year of internship, right? So you go and you work at a company, and I did that, and I saw how miserable people were. Like I know there are some people that really love their jobs and stuff,
Yeah.
but the people that I was working with, they were just miserable, and I was like, "No, this is not for me. I want to do what I love, which is tech."
Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's quite interesting. And when you came here and you got introduced to the boot camp, were you able to like land your first job after the boot camp, or did Melsoft was Melsoft born from that whole experience from you doing the boot camp here?
So Melsoft started in my final year in school. It started when I saw everyone around me was looking for a job, and they had these Microsoft Word CVs that were poorly formatted, they were just ugly. So I took them and I would redesign them in Canva, and I'll charge them like $5, right? So word got out, and I just started getting a lot of people giving me $5, which is 100 rand. So when I came to South Africa, about 6 months later, I was already working on Melsoft.
Oh,
Yeah. So when I went to the boot camp, oh, great. Wow, now I can actually build websites, I can build mobile apps, I can do more. I kept working on Melsoft, but 4 months into my boot camp, I got my first job in tech. that same bootcamp hired me. They were like, "Nah, we need this guy to come in," and I lasted a whole 3 months at that job.
3 months? Why 3 months though? Why 3 months?
Nah, bro. Honestly, I wasn't really a good employee, to be honest. Because yeah, I'll do my job, but I'll just be like, what the heck? They should be doing it this way. Why are they not doing it this way?
Oh, so you questioning?
Yeah, I was questioning. And keep in mind, I was like an intern. I was a junior, and I might have made one of the bosses there a bit mad, and then they decided to kick me out.
Well, maybe could you like walk us through how your whole bootcamp experience was? You know, that transition from uni to then now bootcamp and then becoming a tech guy. How was that transition for you? Was it easy?
Yeah, no, for me, I think what made me succeed at the bootcamp was because I was just extremely dedicated and passionate.
What you loved, right?
I loved it. Yeah, I remember one time, because I would work like from 9 to 9 every day, just on my code, writing, building stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember one time my dad pulled me and he said, "You don't even have a girlfriend." Then I was like, "Yeah, but I'm busy with school." Then he was like, "No, you need to balance. You need to go out there, put yourself out there."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Sure." Then, yeah, but point is, I was just so dedicated and I managed to make it. And a lot of people that come into boot camps think, let me just coast.
It's an easy thing, yeah.
It's an easy thing, which is totally wrong.
And I think that's how you find a lot of uncompleted Udemy courses, eh? I think that's how you find a lot of them. I remember having a conversation with Gamu, because I also have like an uncompleted Python course, but that was like during my gap year. But I do get the whole thing of that dedication. I feel like that's something our generation is currently missing. You know, I feel like it's a whole drive thing that we're missing. And just hearing your story is actually like, wow, if you can do it, considering that you even came from Zimbabwe, you came here. Melsoft actually started there, because I was actually under the impression that it started here, right? But for the fact that you were working from it from the time you were in university, and it went from what I would like to assume a company, a tech company, into now an edu-tech company. That's really impressive. And speaking of Melsoft Academy now coming from Melsoft, like how did that come about? How did you feel that, you know what, let me try and transfer what I know? Because from this conversation that we're having, it seems like you're the type of person who's like, there's another way of doing things, but why aren't these things not being done? Why can't we do it like this? And I feel like that's what Melsoft Academy is trying to do. So like, how did Melsoft transition from a company that was actually specializing in making CVs and building websites to a company that's now teaching students how to branch into tech?
Yeah. So what happened was, when we started building websites and apps, we were not struggling to get quantity of clients, right? It was not a problem to get someone that wants a website or wants an app for their business. The challenge for us was always finding the best engineers to do the job. That was a nightmare, because we couldn't pay market rate salaries like the big banks pay or the big dev houses pay. So naturally, the best talent already is out. And then we also couldn't pay the seniors to come and work with us after hours. We would try that, but they wouldn't be as motivated. They'd come, 6 p.m., they start working on our projects, they're tired. And then we also tried outsourcing to India and Pakistan to get engineers there. Dude, I mean, it's like a hit or miss.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get one guy so dedicated and it's just, but sometimes you just get someone that can't communicate and it's just a nightmare. Yeah. So we lost a lot of contracts by outsourcing. And we just had to make the decision to say, okay, how about we just create something that if someone takes it, they can come and work for us as a junior.
Also, initially started like a way to funnel people into the company.
That was the goal, yeah. Okay. And that's why we started with 100% guaranteed internship.
Oh, because you were.
So we're going to take you in, yeah. So we did that, and then we put the advert out. We spent about 5,000 Rand to put it on Google Ads. And we just saw a flood of applications coming in. And obviously my entrepreneurial brain was like, oh,
jackpot.
This is it.
Might as well.
Bingo. Like let's operate. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I get
So
that.
now, yeah, we've been doing that now for 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and seeing where Melsoft is actually going, it's just growing, to be honest. I see from the tech podcast that you have, like even the students are speaking about the academy and how they're branching into the tech industry. And also, I believe you recently brought in another exec. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
But he's also helping you out. So seeing all of that, that's a sign of growth, I assume.
Yeah. This will be the first podcast that I'll share this, but we did bring in an exec, but it didn't work out for us. At the end, it didn't work out. He did an incredible job, but yeah, there are many several factors why that didn't work out.
And if you don't mind, do you mind taking us through that? Because I believe there are other entrepreneurs, especially students, who do have like joint ventures, for example,
Yeah.
and they find that whoever they bring in, they might do a good job, but it might not work out, you know?
Yeah. So the biggest lesson, the biggest takeaway for any young entrepreneur who's listening to this is don't give up your dream too soon. Don't let someone else take your baby too soon. Because I was like, here's my
I get
baby,
that.
run it for me. But then I was like this hovering figure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what's going on. Why is this not happening? Why are we not innovating as much as we can? Why? And then it just got to the point where even financially, it just made sense for me to come back and, continue the ship. Because also, if you look at the most successful startups like Google, Amazon, Facebook, for example, typically the founder slash CEO stays for like 15, 20 years before they give it up. And there's a reason for that. And for me, I thought 2 years was enough, but clearly I was wrong. But it's fine.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, okay. That's actually cool. That's actually pretty interesting. And leading up to your entrepreneurship journey, how easy was it? You know,
Easy.
I think it's the wrong way to use. How hard was it?
how hard was it? Okay, because it's a thing of you're already developing it from Zimbabwe, right?
Yeah.
You came to South Africa, you're still working on it. Obviously, you're learning the ropes here and there. You're also seeing how your parents are also like working around that space. So that's why I use the word easy, because I'm like, okay, it's probably he
in
got
the
it.
genes.
Yeah, it's in the genes. It's probably in the
Probably,
genes.
yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
how was the journey like? You just mentioned about having an exec in, but take us through like all the times you had to like stay up at night. Take us through the times where you felt like giving up. Like, did you have like those moments where you're like, you know what, maybe this is not it. Maybe I should just take a step back. Maybe I should just close this whole thing down, Like, just take us through that journey. Like, how was it? And if there's something that you could tell younger you right now, right, what would you actually tell them through that?
Yeah, that's a very deep one. So there was a time in 2021 around November when Melsoft nearly died because I had a co-founder that I was working with, and because we were not making enough sales at that time, he went and he got a 9 to 5. He got a nice cushy, because he was a great engineer. He got that job there. And then I was alone. And then in that brief moment, I was also now applying for jobs. And I even got an offer from Intellect, the dev house.
Crazy.
Yeah. I was looking at it like this, and the numbers were like, wow. And I showed my girl at the time. I was like, look at this offer. Then she was like, wow, this is so amazing. We're going to be able to do this. We're going to be able to do that. But then I just thought, if these guys can pay me so much money, how much are they making? So I had to make that tough decision to say, okay, let me not take this. Let me continue. There have been hundreds of times when I call my brother or call my wife now to say, I don't think I can continue. And then I just continue, just put in one more day, and then that feeling goes away. So, word of advice to any young entrepreneur: never, ever, ever give up. Because the difference between the most successful entrepreneurs and the ones that fail is not because the successful ones are smarter. It's just they don't quit. They just keep pushing no matter how hard it is. They just keep coming. They just keep coming. They just keep coming.
Basically showing up.
Just keep showing up every single day, and then before you know it, you will look back and then you see, wow, look at all this stuff that we've achieved, and now you're addicted. Now you can't stop.
No, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Maybe just bringing it back to Melsoft as a company today. What types of people come into the academy looking for work? Is it mainly people our age, like young kids, or do you get a diverse amount of people, maybe some adults looking to transition their careers?
Yeah.
To work for us or to study with
Oh,
us?
sorry, to study for you guys, yeah, or with you guys.
Oh yeah, so to study we've got two main types. We've
Yeah.
got matriculants.
Mhm.
They've just finished grade 12 and then now they want to
Come in.
yeah, they don't want to go through 4 years. They just want to go through 1 year.
Mhm.
Although some of them use the 1 year as a test
To
be
see
like,
if they like the
do they
tech
like
space.
it? Yeah, and then if they like it, then they go to UCT, they go to Wits, right?
Mhm.
Then you get career changes that they want to make the switch, but they don't have the time or the money to make the whole transition, and they need the one-on-one interaction. They need the human touch.
Okay.
Then they come to us.
All right. So do you cater differently to those two people, or is it just a cohort that they?
It's typically cohorts. It's typically cohorts because we've developed a system that works. Everyone just needs to go through that
Oh,
system.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of Melsoft Academy, you are a bootcamp, right?
Yeah.
And you did say that you wanted to go to UCT, and then when you came through a bootcamp, that's when you got into tech, right? That's when you studied tech, and that's how you landed your job. Did your perception change on universities once you went through the bootcamp and as you developed Melsoft Academy? Were you like, actually, like a degree doesn't really matter in this space? Like, do you feel like traditional universities are now being outweighed by boot camps, are being outweighed by self-taught methods? Because something that my friends used to speak about, even when I came to Wits, they were like, why are you studying something that you can learn on the internet?
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's something that also Gamu and I do talk about, is like most of the things that you can learn is literally on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So what's your take on universities versus boot camps versus being self-taught? Like, what's your take on that whole topic?
Oh yeah, he's gonna get me in trouble because we're recording this at a university.
You know that, and I was literally telling those guys that, yo, damn, this is gonna be very controversial, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Like, it's
no.
the truth. It's the truth. You're speaking your truth, and I feel like it's your truth. You're literally saying what you want to say.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think both of them work for different people. If you don't have time and you don't have a lot of money, and what you need is to get a skill and start getting paid as soon as possible, whether you're 18, whether you're 20, whether you're 25, then bootcamp is for you, right? But if you want to grow as a person, you want to spend time, you want to start staying on your own, you need that experience of growing on your own, then yeah, then university is the place. So I recommend boot camps for those that they don't have time. You don't have a lot of time. You need to get into the industry, you need to get exposed, you need to start working as soon as possible. Then no need for you to go and spend 4 years. No need. Spend 6 months, spend 12 months, and you see your life change in a heartbeat. And we have the success stories to share. Melsoft is not the first bootcamp.
Yeah.
There are many bootcamps. This model has been proven all over the world. It works. So it just depends on the individual's goals and what they want to achieve.
But speaking about achieving the goals, at that time, something that was said earlier is that most people don't know what they're getting themselves into. You just go into tertiary just for the likes of it, seeing that everybody's going there, or from the pressure. So from that regard, right, what do you think a grade 12, for example, should start doing right now in order to avoid that mishap from happening?
the best thing a grade 12 can do is take a gap year. And gap years are like taboo
You know,
to African parents.
I really hated a gap year. Like I was, like I went through a gap year.
Yeah.
I mean, like at that time, I hated it. I remember when I didn't get into um, the universities that I wanted to for other reasons, right? I remember my dad coming to me and came to my room. He came to my room and it's like, maybe just go to like a college and just get a diploma in like something, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, nah, let me thug out the gap year. You know, I felt so ashamed, if that makes sense, because it's a thing of, oh, like you came from a good school, you're getting all the grades, you're the head boy, all of these things, and now you're just at home.
Yeah.
You know, you're just
Yeah.
at home, and it was just like, what the hell is going on? But like, whenever I look back, I don't regret it because it's a thing of, I think you develop that maturity
Yeah.
from the gap year, and I don't know. I think some people don't see that. I don't advocate still for the gap year, but I feel like if you do see it as important, you can. If you feel like you just need a bit of a pause, I don't know what you think actually, but
Well, I mean, I didn't take a gap year.
you didn't take gap year.
So for me, it was a bit of a different thing. I kind of knew that
What
I
you
wanted to
wanted
do
to
computer
do,
science
yeah.
from like the moment I got my laptop in grade 10. That's when I
Yeah.
started coding. We did Java in school. And I remember this one guy in class who was a lot better than me in coding. He was talking about C#, all these things, making games. And then COVID hit. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back after COVID and be the best guy in this class in IT. And so yeah, over the 3-month break of COVID, I just got some headfirst Java textbook and I just went through that, came back, and I just kind of dominated IT in that sense. And from there, I just knew that I wanted to do computer science. So yeah, I didn't really
You
have
didn't.
that question in mind. Even when applying to Wits, I just applied for computer science. I applied for a BA general and I applied for a BCom general because I knew if I don't get what I want, I'm not going there anyway. So it was a bit of a different conversation. But maybe just coming back to Melsoft again.
Yeah.
So the types of people that come there, would you say since they are coming specifically to Melsoft to learn how to code, would you describe them as more motivated people, more dedicated to this specific thing, or do you still get the types of people who aren't, too?
Yeah, you get a mix, bro.
Yeah.
You get the hungry kids,
Yeah,
eh?
I'd imagine. Yeah.
Oh, and I love them.
Yeah.
They're like on the ball. Every lecture they're
Yeah.
there, every assignment they're there. They're doing extra projects out there. Those ones already, their futures are set.
Do you teach some
Yeah.
of them?
I used to, but now I managed to find people that are really, really good at tutoring. So they tutor, but I do one-on-one mentorship sessions with the students. So if you come to Melsoft, there's a link that's only accessible to Melsoft students that they can just book me 15 minutes anytime. They tell me what they need, and then I help them out.
Okay.
Yeah, I found that's where I deliver the most value.
No, that's fair. And now you're talking about the hungry kids. Then what are the other kids? What are the other ones?
If you're listening, if you're watching, you need to be serious. Like, some just some just their parents said go.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's something.
And
in the
it's
case of a boot
everywhere.
camp?
Yeah, it's
Really?
everywhere.
It's
It's
everywhere. Yeah,
everywhere.
I think
It's
it's
like your parents just say go and do this, and then like, oh no, but I don't want to. But and then they're just there. They're just going through the motions. They're not. But at least the advantage is that they spent 6 months to 1 year
Yeah.
to figure out that this is not for them
Instead of a whole 4 years.
instead of a whole 4 years. So it's still a net positive to join a boot camp.
And do you guys have any requirements like, oh, matric, you need maths level 7, physics level 7? Like, do you need that, or that structure does not apply to boot camps?
So it applies. You do need NQF4. You need metric so that you can take NQF5. Yeah, that's the only requirement, and it's much more beneficial if you're good at maths because then you've shown that you've got problem solving aptitude.
So guys, you see what we do in math at Wits, né? See what we do in math.
I mean, not to the extent that they make us do it. But
No, you
sure.
see what we do in math.
Yeah,
né?
yeah.
Like, nah, come. Why are you guys shaking your heads? Why are you guys shaking your heads? 6 math modules, second year.
Right.
Nah.
And because it's a boot camp, you guys are a lot more hands-on, right? So people get to work on a lot more projects.
Yep.
Not really theory.
Not theory
intensive,
heavy.
right?
Yeah, no. So because it's accredited, they have to go through accredited material. So there is a strong element of theory.
Okay.
but it's much more. We are just focused on build projects for real companies that solve real problems.
Okay.
We're not looking at calculator apps or to-do list apps.
Yeah.
Because yes, those kind of apps help you to understand the fundamentals.
Yeah.
But that's not going to get you a job
Not production
in 2025.
ready.
Yeah.
ChatGPT can do stuff like that now.
ChatGPT or Lovable.
Lovable.
Are you a big AI?
I wouldn't say big AI. but
He pays for chats. He pays for chats.
I always have a tab
Yeah,
open
me too,
when I'm
bro.
working.
Yeah.
no,
Oh my
it's-
days.
You don't pay for ChatGPT?
I want to get Monica. Chat is too expensive. Chat is 400 rand. Monica is like what, 200 rand? Yeah, I want to get Monica actually. But like speaking of that, and now that we touched a bit on the AI element.
I
Where you,
want to get into the accreditation bit a bit more.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
so how does that work? I'm not familiar with how the NCAF 5 accreditation for boot camps
oh yeah,
works.
Yeah. So your degree is NQF 8, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
You don't know. We just getting the degree.
Yeah,
We
it
just
should be.
Oh, it's 7.
It's 7.
Seven.
It's 7. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Honors is 8.
honors
okay.
is 8.
All right.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. So 5 is like it's a national certificate.
Okay.
It's issued by the government. The government will say here.
Also, they're recognized.
It's recognized.
Okay.
Yeah. So people want that.
Mhm.
Before we were just doing Melsoft Academy with do this stuff, build these projects, you'll get a job.
Yeah.
But our customers, and this is also advice for anyone who's looking to build a startup, always listen to what your customers want. They wanted a certificate that's recognized. So we've got that recognized certificate. They do it over a year. Then they also do our bootcamp material that gets them the job.
Also, it's 2 separate.
It's like one merged thing.
Or you guys will guide them through it as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the process of getting that whole thing set up with the government? Did you have to sign papers?
Dude, it's
I
a
can
lot.
imagine that,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. It's a back and forth over years.
Yeah.
And at this stage, we decided that if we are going to keep waiting, we are going to wait for a very long time.
Yeah.
True.
So we looked for a partner that has the accreditations already.
Oh, that's okay.
And we signed like an agreement with them. So our students they'll be learning at Melsoft, but when it's time to get assessments, they go to that accredited partner. They get their certificates.
Yeah. And since it's an accreditation like that, don't those require some work experience in order for you to qualify? Or I know some boot camps, as part of the syllabus, you have to go and get some internship experience from a company for like a month or something, right? You guys do that as well?
Yeah. So it's part of the accredited requirements.
Okay.
You need to spend 3 months,
3 months.
doing work
Alright.
integrated learning.
So you have partnerships with these companies, or just mainly they come to Melsoft? You guys still operate as an agency?
The best ones, we take them
Okay,
for sure.
Yeah.
Because another thing that I'm so grateful is the fact that we get exposed to these young talents when they're still raw and young and fresh,
Exactly, yeah.
and we just snatch them, we bring them in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we see our future. Our vision is Melsoft will have 1,000 employees, but 950 of them are ex-Melsoft Academy students.
That's actually clean.
Yeah, that's what we see is our vision.
That's actually clean. And before we like go into the next topic, something that I'm thinking about, and it's because of the previous episode where they were saying that, oh, starting your tech company like in another place like Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Do you see Melsoft tapping into those areas where, because I mean, you just say that once Melsoft identifies talent, you guys snatch.
Yeah.
And there might be untapped talent in areas that are not urbanized, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
do you see Melsoft probably tapping into that space in the near future? Maybe through like scholarships or through bursaries, or maybe just through like an info day, and then you see from the students who can actually do what. Is that like a plan that you guys are looking into like in the near future?
We're actively doing that. So because our program is online, we get people from all over the country. They sign up, they're in. And 2 of the young kids that we've brought into the company all came from Mpumalanga, which is not a renowned tech hub. Because if you say tech hub, you think Joburg, Cape Town.
Yeah. Durban as well.
Nah.
Guys, there's best software there.
Nah. Durban, nah.
Yo, okay. No, everyone is disagreeing with me. Yes, actually crazy. But yeah,
It's not really known for tech, is it?
nah, fair
Yeah.
enough, fair enough.
So yeah, there's this point that great talent is everywhere, opportunity is not, and it's the same even in Zim. There are some smart kids that we've once worked in remote cities like Mashingo, for example, where you wouldn't expect to see a software engineer, but they have a laptop, they've been watching YouTube, they're building, they are good. They just need that opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, okay, no, that's cool. That's actually interesting. That's pretty interesting. And saying that you're like online and you're in those areas, right? Obviously, some students might have issues with like your basics, like your internet and basically, like you said, you do provide one-on-ones, but they don't have that support structure in their community. So, like, how do you like overcome that challenge? Like, how are you there when you're not there, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I guess for us, that's still something that we haven't fixed yet. We're still actively working with those that have the computers, that have the laptops, and it presents an untapped opportunity for anyone that's, maybe entrepreneurial. If you want an idea, here, free idea to make yourself a millionaire, do this program for primary school, secondary school children because it's completely untapped.
It's completely untapped. And I remember like, okay, I think this is like from a private school sense, but my principal was talking to me about, my ex-principal was talking to me about how the IB now have a hackathon, an AI hackathon, right? But they haven't joined it. And I'm thinking that, okay, private schools are doing this, but what's going on the other spectrum,
Yeah.
you know? Because I think that's something that you do speak about. Sometimes you do speak about the education space. You also speak about how the entrepreneurship space in Africa is also flawed in a way. I remember literally yesterday you posted something on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and you were talking about how the African startup dream is just a lie, and young people need to know exactly what is going on. Just take us through why you even wrote that
Yeah.
and what made you come to that, because there's this whole hype around Africa being the continent of the future. People are like, oh, Africa is the untapped market that people can actually go to, that all these companies, and I think we're seeing it with like your Microsoft, we're seeing it with your Google, we're seeing it with your Amazon, like they're all now bringing their investments down here and
Yeah.
trying to like upscale their companies. So like just take us through that whole, I know I just dropped a lot on you, but just
Yeah.
take us through that whole
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, bro. So this came out of just my personal observations as someone that's, traveled the world. I've seen what the world looks like, and then I've also seen what home looks like. And here we're being sold this dream of build an MVP, then get some traction. If you get traction, like, get a few people paying you and stuff, and then go and raise money, go and get an investor, and then build your company that way. This model works in Silicon Valley. But the only problem is that this is not Silicon Valley. This is Africa.
Exactly.
We don't have hundreds of thousands of venture capital firms.
YCs, all those.
We don't have that.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
don't
That is
have.
actually true.
We don't even have like enough internet penetration. We don't have enough people that are in the banking sector. And I'm talking about the entire Africa. South Africa is more developed than most,
Yeah.
but most African countries don't even have like credit cards that they can use to pay for your SaaS subscription, for example.
That's what I was even saying the other day. I was like, South Africa is like 10 years behind, but Africa is 20, 30 years behind. Because even like when I go to Zambia, like,
Yeah.
like here when you go to your spaza shop, you can see like people I can tap and all of that. I mean, Kamu yesterday was making a joke about even the car wash guys or the guys by
The ones who wash your windscreen.
they have Yoko machines,
Really?
They have Yoko machines. But like,
Yeah.
like you said, in other African companies, there's no proper structure.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, there's no proper structure.
So the problem is that we are trying to apply the Silicon Valley model in Africa.
Yeah, I agree.
Here we have real problems, like real actual problems. And if we just fix our mind to say, okay, what are some of the problems that we have? Infrastructure, for example, then we work to build that infrastructure instead of building apps. and thinking that this app,
App is
oh,
going.
now let me build an Uber for whatever service.
Yeah.
We can do better for our own communities.
And I think that's actually true, and I do resonate with that. I think Vusi Tebukoyo has also mentioned something about it, and also something that I just recently heard is that America innovates, Europe regulates, China imitates, but where is Africa in the map? You know, and it's like, what are we actually doing? That's something that you are saying, and it's a thing of, do you think it's probably a lack of information from our side? Do you think maybe because you did say that we are sold a dream, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a thing of we just believe what's being told to us? That we are not that curious to question the whys? Because going back to your first job, you always used to ask the question, why is this like done like this instead of us doing it like this? Do you think that our generation is not asking the right question?
Yeah, we're not asking the right questions. Why are we like this? Because I also fell for this dream. You know, I believed in it. I went to accelerators. I know the startup game. We won EdTech Startup of the Year.
Yeah,
I
that.
know
I
the
saw
game.
that.
So I also kind of like fell for it as well. So I think it's just a lack of proper mentorship and proper guidance, and we need to seek out mentors like Dangote, or you know, the entrepreneurs, the African entrepreneurs that have built African businesses, instead of seeking out mentors from the US. For example, my biggest mentor is an American, and he has just helped me so much. But I think if I had African mentors that helped me to understand business from an African perspective, things would have been a lot easier.
Because I think something that you did even say that we're dealing with African problems, you know. We're dealing with potholes in America, they're dealing with rocket ships collapsing in midair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a thing of something that you mentioned in your article. You did speak about funding, like how that's also flawed in a way.
Yeah.
Something that I did speak to a certain exec about. I was speaking to them about the whole consultancy side, and they're like, oh, you can actually go to Amazon and do this and do that, you know. And it sounds so easy to actually do it. It sounds easy when someone does speak about it, like, oh yeah, no, you just have to do this, or just start reading up on this, start doing your investigations. But the process, that journey is difficult on its own. And it's like, how can one actually equip themselves for that journey?
Can I just touch on the funding part? Do you know what percentage of blacks get funding on planet Earth?
I have no idea.
Less than 1%. Money just goes to white people. It's not because white people are better. It's not because white people are smarter. It's just how things are set up. We are behind the curveball, because when someone is looking at you, let's say you've got an idea and then you're asking for, say, 10 million rand. Just based on the color of your skin, you're already at a disadvantage. They think, oh, what if he runs away? What if he sends that money to his mother or his village or whatever? So unless you want to gamble, unless you think you are, you know, better than 99%, then by all means, go for it. Go raise money, go build a big business. It's been done. There are, like the Yoko co-founder, for example.
Yeah.
But then also you will see another common pattern, that most of these entrepreneurs that raise money, most of those black entrepreneurs that raise money, they always have a white co-founder or a white partner or someone who's white. And this is the truth. You can cancel me. I don't really care. But this is the truth. We shouldn't chase that, let's go and raise money so that we can build business. Let's just go and build businesses that solve our problems. That's the cry. Go and build a business that solves a problem in your community, and get your customers to pay you the money that you need to grow your business. It's that simple.
So you're saying, instead of, you know, going the whole archetypical way of chasing growth that Silicon Valley does and thinking about profits later, build a sustainable business from the start, right? Because something that people do want is something that you can sustain from the beginning. Is what you're saying?
Exactly.
All right, that makes sense. And I think, because this is an issue and kind of something that Ibram was really hoping to address with having a podcast like this where it's, just South African students talking to South African people about this.
Yeah.
I think it's an access of information because a lot of us in the computer science degree, we've all watched that Social Network movie with Mark Zuckerberg. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Oh, I
we
love
have all
that.
watched
I
it.
think,
Yeah.
it's a cult classic, right? I watch it every year. And
Yeah.
watching that stuff, it kind of makes you think a certain type of way, like, oh, I want to be like that guy. But then we forget the context in which we exist in.
Yeah.
We don't exist in that same context that he existed in. Even back then, America's a bit different now. But yeah, just looking at that whole American scene, it's not what we have here.
Yeah.
And I think we don't really have, in Africa as a whole, we don't have a place to go to people to look up to in that sense. Or maybe we do have people to look up to, we just don't know where to look for them.
Yeah,
It's a lack of
exactly.
information online. Whenever you go online and you think about research things like how to start a business, how to, it's always from a Western perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's also another way you can do this, like what you've just said. I like what you said. If you go to America, for example, and you base yourself there, maybe you work a little bit and you build relationships with investors in America. You can build a product that serves Africa, that's registered in America, and you've got access to American investors, and you can actually do it.
Yeah.
For sure. If you want to build a startup model, go there. Go to Silicon Valley. Go to New York, maybe Florida. Those three places. Network with people in those areas. Build an MVP that solves African problems, and then you get the funding, and then you can come back home and build your business. Yes, absolutely, go for that.
Okay.
But don't do it from here and now go to Cape Town and think you're gonna get venture capital to fund you from here. It's a lot harder. Yeah.
So if it's a lot harder, and apart from that method, for like an average South African kid or a university student who has a dream of starting their own company, like there are platforms such as like the eHub, for example, they do aid in giving students that exposure to like funding. Like for example, eHub is linked with Old Mutual, and that's how they're able to get a bit of some funding, from my understanding. But like for an average student who has no place to go to, for example, what steps can they take? Because if these people are hard to find, for example, Kamu did say that they are there, but we don't know where to look for them. What can one person do? Because, for example, some guys like you, Vusi Tembukwayo, and the likes of him, they're hard to reach, right? And these are people that you might want to hear advice from.
Yeah.
But it's like, how can you break through for just an average student?
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't have backing from like an institution, who doesn't have backing from anywhere, but does have a great idea.
Get a mentor. I challenge you when you say they're hard to reach. They're really not. I'll tell you that the average successful entrepreneur gets approached maybe once a week by someone asking for mentorship, or even less. So if you're just like an average student, like you're saying, create a spreadsheet with 100 names of the people that you would want to mentor you and reach out to them. The same way you reached out to me to be on this show, for example. Reach out. One of them will respond. One of them will get that meeting with you and actually start mentoring you. And once you get one person who agrees to mentor you, drive the mentoring relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that someone did tell me, actually from Intellect. He was saying that the thing about this whole mentoring culture is that the mentees want the mentors to drive them.
Yeah.
But it's not the mentee. The mentees are not doing the whole drive. They feel like your source of motivations from the mentor, where the mentor is like, yo, you need to do this today.
Yeah.
Someone was saying that, like, why don't you show your mentor that you are actually actively working, because that also encourages them to actually put more time and effort.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, this mentor, for example, let's say Vusi. Are we done? Oh, okay. Let's say Vusi, for example, he's running multiple hundreds of millions or billions of businesses. He's not gonna follow up on you and your idea. It's your job. It's your responsibility. Hey, Vusi, what about this? What do you think about this? Hey, what about this? Can we meet here? Can we do this? if you show that initiative, if you show that hunger, you show that determination, what it does is it reminds the entrepreneur of themselves. They're like, when I was 19, 20, 21, this is what I was like. And then now they start helping you, they start opening doors, and before you know it, your life will change.
So this is an open invitation to flood Larreth's inbox with requests, and maybe just taking a bit of a zoom out. Where do you see Melsoft in like 5 years from now?
5 years from now, we will still be operating for sure. We have a 10-year plan.
That's actually
The goal is to sell for $1 billion US, and then our will just go into ministry, start talking about God.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Dream. I was expecting a yacht in that vision there.
Yeah, I was expecting something different, and I think you're already and part of like your 10-year vision, something that we spoke about behind cameras was you guys expanding to Dubai. Just give us a glimpse of that.
Dubai right now is AI city. Like if you go to the DIFC or Abu Dhabi or Saudi, Riyadh or Jeddah, everything is all about AI. Everything. So if you've got an idea, are we done? Okay. If you've got an idea, there is funding, there are mentors, everything is just ready, is happening. The competition is quite low compared to Silicon Valley or New York. So we are using Dubai and the UAE as a whole as our launch pad for the rest of the world. We want to start, firstly, we want to continue to dominate South Africa, then we want to dominate the rest of the continent. But our global vision is Dubai. We expand from Dubai, then the US, and then the rest of the world.
Okay, cool. So, Larreth, after a heavy conversation about entrepreneurship, Africa, Melsoft Academy, education, I think it's best that we now calm down the nerves, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a question that has been going around. I think the boys in the cartel are actually gonna be proud about
It's a
this.
very important question.
It's a very important question, and we need to know the answer.
Yeah.
Right? I think he's on one spectrum. I'm on the other spectrum. Right?
Okay.
100 men versus one gorilla. Who do you think is gonna win?
The men don't have weapons.
The men don't have
They don't have
Bare
weapons.
knuckle
Babe,
men
yeah.
versus one gorilla.
I think that's easy.
That's
100 men for sure. 100 men.
How?
We jump on that beast.
No.
5 on the arm, 5 on the arm, 5 on the arm, 5 on the arm, 5 on the face. Bam, 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 bam.
But like the moment one person loses their head, the morale is gone.
Now we can send like in batches.
So
We can say the first
The moment the
10.
head flies, everyone is running. They're like, "Oh, it's real." No.
No, it's not allowed. We say whoever runs away, we kill them. So we just send the ones that
no,
won't
but the
run
thing
away.
is that you're also cutting down on the numbers. You're cutting down on the numbers.
You can only overthrow gorilla with large numbers. So if you're doing 5 at a time, I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure.
The way I'm thinking about it is, he's gonna feel threatened, and once the gorilla's gonna feel threatened when he sees 100 human beings. You think he's gonna run away? He's gonna use all his strength, and at that time, once he has punched the first 20, he's filled with anger. He's like filled with rage, and out of that 80 left, some will have fear. Then you wanna chop them. Then you'll be having 60 people. What's gonna happen?
Now we can kill that. We can kill that thing.
Bare hands.
For sure. Rip its head off.
Guys,
You guys don't know what a gorilla is.
No, do you guys think? What do you say?
Gorilla, bro.
I agree with Larreth's tactic, but it's
Casualties.
like one fire, it's possible. It's possible.
Guys,
So it's possible. We jump on it. We suffocate it.
So you're saying that some come from the back, others come from there.
Yeah. Some will die for sure. Some will die.
When you
Maybe
see
even
them
like
die, what
half
are you
will
doing?
die.
What are
What are you
when
doing?
see them die?
You have to continue. You'll be like, nah, I'm also gonna die. It's fine. Let me go in.
I feel like you need some. I think you need like a special case scenario. I think you need people who crash outs. You need crash outs. You need crash outs. You need people that don't care.
Yeah.
all.
Or UFC fighters and boxers.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would you draft? Who would you draft in your first 20? Actually,
20 is crazy, bro.
20 is
Three people you want to see on the
3.
battlefield.
Dead or alive or
Dead or alive? Whoever.
prime Mike Tyson.
Prime Mike Tyson.
Put him there for sure. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prime Khabib.
Prime Khabib.
You can't touch Prime Khabib.
can't.
He'll just jump and he'll just suffocate that
Yeah,
thing.
put him on a choke.
Yeah. And Prime Larreth Jimu. Let's go. I'll just be the supporter. I'll just be the strategist.
Oh, no. You can be the.
Nah, I'm not fighting. I ain't
You
fighting,
can be the 100th man, and you can like, there's this meme saying that okay, you take the gorilla out for like lunch, and just like understand the gorilla, you can do that, and then maybe you can poison it. I don't know.
But he's gonna be the person to tell the story.
But see, everyone did. Nah, guys.
Yeah.
No, personally, what do you think?
I think Gorilla's a massive guy. It's gonna fight. It's gonna get tired though. Quickly.
It's gonna get tired,
It's
yeah.
gonna get tired. After that, if there's about
But
50 people left, you can go. You can beat the gorilla. Only 25 people are surviving.
But by the time it gets tired, 50 bodies, 50 bags.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Who do you think?
You're a man.
Who do you think?
You're massive.
Guys, do you know how much they
Yeah.
weigh? They weigh, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. 418 pounds.
No, that's too low. That's too low. That's too low.
Is it pounds or kgs?
Eddie Hall lifted more than that.
Oh, no, I think it's kg. Okay, my bad. It's
Yeah,
kg. It's
kilos. It has to be kilos.
It's
It has
probably
to be
kilos. And the
Yeah.
average human being,
Averaging like 70
60
kilos.
70 kilos.
So if there's 100 of us, then for sure, if we're sending like one person 100 kgs, 100, then we win.
No way.
Believe in humanity, guys.
I don't believe.
Nah, I don't believe. I think
Fight strength also.
it can throw you.
Guys.
It can throw you.
It's GG's, bro.
But that's gonna be the first fight.
Like, there's 10 people.
Guys, the
going.
fact.
This conversation it's not going to end.
No.
100 people for a reason.
No, the
gonna
fact
end.
that you
You're
guys.
talking about one person.
The thing is,
100 is a lot.
do you know what's so funny? Y'all are like, okay, 20 people are gonna die. Like that's a given. You guys are like, that's a given.
It's live.
Nah, man.
Yeah, some are gonna die for
It happens
sure.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It was a game of numbers, man. But
Do you think 50 armadillos can take out one person?
wow, we're better than armadillos, guys. Can't compare us to armadillos.
That's the comparison to.
Someone,
We
some,
can't use dogs. Dogs have a
no,
higher
someone was mentioning 5-year-olds. Someone was saying that
Yes.
Tutu, would you survive 100 5-year-olds? The Tutu.
I mean, if you rip one's head off, they're gonna run away. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's what we're saying about the
Now
gorilla.
we must assume that no one is running away.
I know, nah.
If
Nah,
people are
that's
gonna
the
run
thing,
away,
guys.
then for sure the gorilla wins.
Exactly.
If people are gonna run away,
Yeah.
we must assume we are fighting to death.
So in an enclosed
It's a
area.
cage. Yeah.
Guys, I swear the gorilla's gonna do damage.
Yeah, a cage is a bit
Hey,
tough.
you're alone.
That one. Nah, bruh. By the time he's done with everybody, he's gonna look at you and it's gonna be like, it's gonna be.
He's not gonna finish 100 people.
He's not gonna finish
It's
100.
gonna be tired, man.
Yeah.
Moving that much weight around, guys. Like, come on, think about it.
Guys, its skin is hard. You think by the time you're punching
It's
it,
pure muscle, man.
you would have.
Pure muscle, yes, but it's also
It's
massive.
heavy.
It's moving that much.
Yeah, that
weight
heaviness can
It's
take up
gonna
5
get
men.
tired.
If it does this, wham, 5
Exactly,
pounds.
that's
Wham,
how much
5.
muscle it's gonna get tired.
Clearly, Ibram is very emphatic about this topic.
Nah, guys, I just think the gorilla's
we
gonna
won't
win.
get to a conclusion. We were hoping that Larreth would give us some direction here, but I think we're still very
Yeah, it's so
seeing things differently.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. What do you think? I think we'll end it there.
Comment down
Comment
below.
down below.
We'll end it there.
But just to end everything off, Larry, thank you so much for pulling through. It was really nice, also funny to meet you. It's also cool to just hear your point of view because you're actually out there seeing what's going on. We're just students. We're gonna see all of that next year when we do come into that world.
Yeah.
And you just giving us a glimpse of your journey and how things started. I don't think it's only going to just inspire like an ordinary South African, but it's also going to inspire another African student out there, like your whole journey as a whole. To show our like appreciation, we actually got you a little something. As
Oh,
well.
thank you.
Kaisha, where is it? But I thought you were going to get it. Yo, guys, we must bleep this out. Yo, really. But yeah, we waited for Kaisha. While I
Thank you so much.
So,
You didn't have to.
on behalf of Wits DevSoc,
Yeah.
here's a little
Thank
gift.
you. Thank you.
And we do hope that wherever you go, we're just giving you all
Can I
our
open it?
blessings. No, off camera.
Off camera.
Off
Okay,
camera.
cool.
But we do give you our best wishes, our blessings as well, through whatever you plan on doing. I think you are doing amazing things currently. Like I said, I literally got inspired from your workshop from that time from last year. And funny enough, when I told Kamu about the Melsoft activity, your wife was in the bus.
Oh yeah.
She was in the bus, and what happened was that we were talking about Melsoft,
It's about Melsoft.
and then she's like, "Oh my God, you guys know Melsoft?" And we're like, oh, "What is going on?" And then she started talking, and she's like, "Oh, I'm Larry's wife," and I'm like, "Oh," because I was at the back, so I couldn't see her. But I think at that time you guys were talking about like engagements and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So big shout out to that as well, and
Thank you.
yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you so much also for being our first guest. And yeah, looking forward to more conversations with you. And hopefully you do continue doing your job.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, the whole crew. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, guys, so that's a wrap of What the Tech podcast. This is episode 4, and see you next time. Danko!